Welcome to White Shadow Fare, where I'm going to be making a chocolate cake with buttermilk for my husband's birthday. Here's our ingredients list: flour, granulated sugar, baking soda, salt, unsweetened cocoa, oil, buttermilk, eggs, instant coffee, vanilla extract, and hot coffee. So you're going to start by mixing all of your dry ingredients, that flour, that sugar, baking soda, salt, and unsweetened cocoa, and sift that cocoa into your mix, and then mix everything together, just whisking it, or I just use the hand mixer and a spoon to get it all incorporated well together. Now I decided to make this cake because my husband asked for a double chocolate cake for his birthday, and I looked something up that would use buttermilk because I had a lot of buttermilk in my refrigerator and wanted to make sure that I got that used. And buttermilk does make a really tender and kind of light, fluffy cake. So it's an excellent ingredient. Even if it just calls for regular milk in a recipe, you can always substitute buttermilk and it will come out fantabulous. So here you can see that I am just sifting through that unsweetened cocoa. Unsweetened cocoa sometimes get like lumps in it, so you just want to sift or whisk those out. As I've stated before, I'm just really trying hard to kind of up my game on doing more homemade foods, using whole grains, using sourdoughs, and making things that are less processed. So instead of grabbing for the cake mix for my husband's birthday, I am making it homemade this year. And if I do say so myself, it came out rather delicious and moist. So I think that you'll enjoy this cake if you give it a try. Once again, I'm not a professional, so here I am just making sure that everything in the dry ingredient mix got kind of mixed in together, and I used a spoon just to get down to the flour at the bottom, make sure it was well incorporated so that everything tastes nice and chocolatey and I don't have to worry about it later on. So now I'm going to stir in the oil, and then shortly after you put in that oil, go ahead and add your buttermilk. Now, I don't know about you, but buttermilk isn't something that I drink. It's not something that I even like, but I do enjoy adding it to homemade breads and anything that I'm baking. So I've done a little bit of research on it, and it does prove to make things a lot more tender. So it's an excellent add-in for any cakes or breads that you're doing. So you're going to go ahead and add some instant coffee granules at this point. Now that is optional, but I do like the way that coffee kind of boosts the chocolate flavor and gives it a more rich depth flavor. You don't really taste the coffee per se, but there's something about coffee that kind of boosts the flavor. You're going to add your eggs one at a time, mixing in thoroughly before you add each one. And there's something so satisfying about making something that you previously did in a much easier, faster way. So that box of cake mix that I normally would grab for when it was time to make a birthday cake, making it homemade gave me a sense of pride. Now, I was really nervous because I was making a double layer cake, and I haven't made one of those in over 20 years because mine always came out lopsided. I don't really know what I'm doing. But as you'll see here at the end, I think it came out really well. And I didn't do any trimming or anything. I know that that's something that you can do, and I did watch a YouTube video on how to do that to make my cake completely even. But I was impressed with myself anyway, since it's the first time. I mean, 20 years of taking time off is a long time, so I wasn't sure if I could still do it. So at this point, I'm pouring in some hot black coffee, so even boosting up that coffee flavor a little bit more. I guess if I think about it, I could have just added those granules right into my strong black coffee, but that's not the way that I did it. And once again, those granules are just optional. I just like a stronger coffee flavor to my cake. Scrape down those bowls and the beaters and get everything mixed in so that you are ready to go. And on my pans, you can see that I put a piece of parchment paper. I just traced the pan onto a piece of parchment paper, put a little bit of spray in the pan, stuck the parchment down, and then sprayed the whole thing again so that when I take my cake out at the end, it will come out easily. That was just something that I had read on one of the articles when I was reading about making cakes, that they suggested to do, and it really did work out well. My cakes popped out of the pan completely easily. Now, these are brand new pans. Haven't made a cake in 20 years that was a double layer, so I didn't even own those type of pans anymore. So my first time using them, I wanted to make sure my cake didn't stick. The other thing that I read is that you should tap your cake on your counter to get rid of any of the air bubbles, and then go ahead and put that in your 350-degree Fahrenheit oven that you have preheated, and you're going to check, and you can see here, so when my time was up, I used a cake tester and stuck it in there, and it was very liquidy, so I had to leave it in the oven for a little bit longer, and then I retested again, and when it comes out with just a little bit on your toothpick or your cake tester, you know it's ready to come out of the oven. As you can see here, it turned out to be a beautiful cake. I made a simple chocolate cream cheese frosting for the top of it, and I think it came out rather nice, if I do say so myself. So I hope you give this a try, and thank you for joining me here at White Shadow Fare.